Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. All things Middle Earth here. And today we're looking at how to build two different commanders. We're looking at Dwalin as well as Éowyn. I got a comment about Éowyn, so I wanted to do her. And I thought we'd throw in Dwalin as well because he's another epic commander or tier 1 commander. I do have him ascended to legendary, or the auto ascended him when 2.0 came out, but they're both epic commanders, so I think they're good ones for us to know how to build, especially with us focusing on kind of new player content in May. So we're going to go through in a more detailed guide, building both these guys out, putting different gear on them so you guys can see what the options are. I'm going to share some resources with you. There'll be our usual cheat sheet guide down in the description below as well. And before the video is over, I'm going to actually put them in an army. I'm going to pick other commanders that I have that are epic, either epic or legendary tier 1 or tier 2 commanders to put with them to actually show who I would use them with if I was using Dwalin and Éowyn. So a pretty detailed guide on these commanders, both up there at the top, coming up in just 1 second. Now, in case you did not know, I have a top-up link. This is an affiliate link. It's down in the description below. And you can buy anything you could buy in-game on this website. So you just log into your account by going, clicking your server here and putting your UID right here. It logs you in and you can buy stuff in here instead of going in-game and buying to it. The TLDR is that this is an affiliate link. It supports the channel, so I get a small kickback. I've gotten questions on if this is legit. As far as I know, yes, I have personally used it. Many people have used it for lots and lots of money and never had any issues with it being, not legitimate. This is through NetEase, the developer of the game. They do this for all their games, so it's pretty normal for them. But again, you guys probably heard me talk about it 100 times, but it is a huge part of what I do. So if you want to support the channel and you want to see more content coming out, if you are already spending, consider using this. If you're not spending, obviously it doesn't apply like I always say. So no worries, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on the video. All that good stuff does help support the channel as well. But let's go ahead and actually get into the guide video. All right, starting out, we're going to look at Dwalin. Now, the gear situation is going to be the exact same for both of them, so I'm only going to do gear on one of them to kind of illustrate what we're doing, so I think it'd just be very repetitive to do them both. But I'm going to do more of an in-depth look. I'm going to provide a spreadsheet resource for you guys where you can look up and search the best types of gear so you can know what best fits for your account. But it'll be a little bit more detailed than usual for those who are newer and kind of just don't feel confident with their gear. So first of all, with Dwalin, we're going to start out with his skills. The first thing we're going into is going to be Durance Blood. You're going to go in all the way into Durance Blood. The big reason we go Durance Blood first is because we want this additional 10% damage for 3 rounds to go off first. And the way these skills work is if they ever line up, which these will line up a couple of times, even though their round cooldowns are different, when they line up in the battle, whatever skill you put points into first is which one will go first. So we want to do Durance Blood first all the way, max that out. Again, it's a great physical damage skill, but also the additional 10% damage. We want that to stack, and then we're going to go right here into this one. So all the way here, and then all the way into Experience Warrior. My Dwalin doesn't have as many points. He's a little under leveled right now, but this is the build for Dwalin. Now, other than that, I really don't think there's anything else really worth messing with. Units are not amazing, and we're, usually we run Guardians. They're really tanky, so adding attack to them doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's kind of dealer's choice here. So if you have a few points and you are running dwarves, you can get a little bit more extra attack for them. Maybe if you have other commanders that can also boost them. I'm not saying try to boost them, but if like there's some passive boosting for them in addition to other good skills, that could be a thing. So depending on what troops you're running and what other commanders, this is okay for a couple of points. If your Dwalin is high enough respect, mine's respect 8. I would personally suggest trying to get 5 points into Musician after you've finished the other 2 trees, because you get a debuff Purify here. So it's not like it's at the beginning. It's just going to be random, but it might knock something off that's negative on you. So I'd go for 5 points there. But the big thing here is going to be Durance Blood, followed by Experience Warrior. Now, like I said, we're going to do their gear together. So I'm going to do Éowyn's skills next, just so we can kind of get all the skills out of the way. And then we'll look at the gear for them, kind of both of them. Now, Éowyn, we're also going to run her as a physical damage commander, like I said. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Durnhelm first, which is going to, at the max level, get an extra 10% damage as well. It's not for as many rounds, but it's not going to hurt. So we're going to go into that first, followed by Swordmaster. So max out Durnhelm, then go into Swordmaster. Again, these will line up, so this 10% is going to be nice to get extra on Swordmaster. And then once Swordmaster and Durnhelm are both completely done, we're going to go into Shield Maiden. It's going to give you basically a 40, well, it can be up to 50%, but you have a 40% chance to gain an extra 42 defense each round on 3 melee units. At level 5, it gets to 50%, and at level 10, it gets to melee and range. So if you happen to have a high respect Éowyn lying around, especially if you played, a long time ago and played 1.0 and used Éowyn, I don't think this is a bad ability to have as an extra support ability with her damage build. You could also just run Shield Maiden and Durnhelm. I don't think that's the best build for her, but if you are hurting for support and you have other damage dealers you can use, you could use just Shield Maiden and Durnhelm, but I think she'll be better with the full damage build. So Durnhelm, Swordmaster, and then extra points into Shield Maiden. But like I said, if you need support really badly for your lineup, you could run Shield Maiden. All right, now, like I said, I've got some extra resources. I've shared this a few times, and I will share it again in the description as well. This is a gear spreadsheet. Shout out to Law who put it together, and there's a lot of them out there, but this is one that Law put together for me, or he put together and he shared with me. But this is a way that you can sort through every piece of gear in the game and find the stuff that has the best stats we want. So as you guys know, for damage commanders for both these guys running the physical damage build, we want attack and we want damage. As much of that as possible. Usually I throw the sheet up on the screen and I show you guys, okay, yeah, you want your Axe of Khazad-dûm, your Berserker's Raiment, your Palantir, you want your Cask of Pride. Those are the best options, and I will still share that. That's down below. However, I do think a lot of people either already know that or don't have that gear and want to kind of see the process. So this is what I'm going to kind of walk through and show you how I would be gearing up Dwalin. So first of all, again, like I said, we want to find things that have that attack as well as damage. So we go to the spreadsheet. Now, if you're not familiar with how to use these sheets, it's pretty simple. Next to each of the words over here, slot, item, rarity, you can filter and sort. So here we can sort. I'm kind of blocking it, but I only have hand checked right now. So it's only showing us weapons, as you can see up here. We can also sort by rarity. This has epic and flawless on it. I'm going to put both of those on. There's no blues on here or greens. I'm sorry. I think there's so few of those. I'll show you which ones are best, but I wouldn't, this is just for purples and golds to look at. So again, we have purples and golds on here. We have just weapons. So I'm going to sort here by commander attack. So we've got it sorted, and we can see the highest commander attack item in the game with commander damage, because we want this damage as well. So you want to see things in this column as well as this one. It's going to be the Axe of Khazad-dûm. The next one that has damage and also has commander attack is the Black Bow, followed by the Blazing Tongue, followed by the Cruel Hook, Reach of the Riddermark, Hammer of Moria, all the way down. Again, you can just keep going. Sand Claw. The more commander attack with these here is what you want to go for. Now, in terms of how to make your decision on your account, you should look at if you have items that you can refine, because even if I have, let's say I have this Axe of Khazad-dûm, this is great. It's 2 times refined, so it's getting 9 to 20 attack, and it's got good commander attack. I actually have a Black Bow that is fully refined, so my attack for the Black Bow, if I put one of these on, I'll compare them. You can see my attack, my minimum and my max is higher on the Black Bow on both numbers, and it's only a small amount less of commander attack. So for me, the Black Bow would make more sense, but again, I know those are kind of the top end, so I want to kind of go through and show some more examples of good things that we can look at on the sheet. Again, if you're looking for epic, the Battle Axe is the best one. It does have both those stats we're looking for. It's actually better than some of the gold items here. We also have the Easterling Spear as probably the other purple item that you can put on that is pretty solid if you're looking for purple gear. So once I've gone through that sheet and I've kind of figured out what options are, I'm going to go through all my gear and look and see what I have and see what I can piece together. Also kind of looking at set options. So I'll kind of include that here as well in this whole kind of walkthrough tutorial. So for these commanders, they're damage commanders. We want things like Perseverance, which I'm selecting right here. We want things like Might. We want things like Sharp Blade. Warcry is not bad. Depending on the commander, it can be better or worse. Same with Perseverance. So that's definitely, these red ones are like damage ones. The only ones I would stay away from are, I don't think Flay is that good. And Lure of the Arcane only applies to elemental damage. So we wouldn't want that for Dwalin or Éowyn. So I'm going to select these 3, which are what I usually suggest. Other good ones, if you don't have damage sets that are great, Agility is great on everyone, Fortitude's great on everyone, Evasive Action's great, Divide and Conquer, anything that just reduces overall damage, those are like very solid ones as well. Some people actually prefer the damage reduction over the kind of offensive abilities, so looking for these ones up here is also a good option. But I'm going to go for some damage ones. I'm going to sort here. I've got my purples. We looked through, we were talking about the Battle Axe being an option, the Easterling Spear being an option. So I have a Battle Axe with Perseverance, and we're going to put that on and try and make a set with him, with this purple gear for him. Now that I know that I have a set ready, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to deselect everything except Perseverance just to see what my options are there. I'm going to go back to the sheet here. I have, I need to filter it here and get rid of the hand items. So we're sorting now just by armor. So as you can see, these are the armor pieces in the game. We have a Scale Mail and Superior Hauberk that are our best options. There is no commander damage on armor, so we don't need to worry about that. Mostly, we're just going to be finding HP. I think they all actually have HP. So we want to find either Scale Mail or superior hauberk, like I said. All right, some numbers may have gotten mixed up here because this has commander defense, so I think one of them got switched potentially, which honestly could have been something that I did on accident. But we're going to go with the scale mail. It has the commander attack we were talking about. We got HP. It has perseverance. We're going to put that on him. Now, next up is our helmet. Again, sorting here. We have all of these options. No damage on the helmets as well, so that's fine. So everything you see here that I highlighted is something that has commander attack. Again, we want to try and get things at the top. Casket, Pride, Berserker's Gaze, Chieftain's Gaze. Those are great, but can't talk. We have the full helm as well as the, let's see here. Horseman's helm looks like it has some. I think there's one more purple that might have it too. Let me double check. No, I was confused. So full helm is the best one. I do think Horseman's helm does have some as well, which can be nice, but full helm's a pretty good amount. We do have them with perseverance. Spoiler alert, we do have a perseverance set. I didn't plan this, but it just so happens I had that laying around. So I'm kind of just trying to show how it goes through this process in more detail. Lastly, looking at accessories. Now, accessories do have the damage on them as well, but there are no purples that have that damage, which is kind of a bummer, I think. So you technically have all these options right here that will work. However, I would really only focus on these 4 if you can, which really sucks because for damage painters, there are 4 options for accessories. It's brutal. So your Palantir of Orthanc, Drums of Bearadur, Signum to the Barrows, and Fine Smoking Pipe all have damage, but only 2 of them have the commander attack. So we really have 2 gold options. However, if you don't have those, the best option for purple is going to be our Bow and Talisman. The Hithlane also has a little bit on it, so we'll look for those ones for our accessory. And here we go. We have our Bow and Talisman with the Perseverance as well. We're going to put that on there. And bada bing, bada boom, we have a Dwalin built out now with kind of the best purple gear you could have on. Again, this stuff's on the sheet, and I think most people understand it, but I'm hoping that some people are new to the game and wanting to know how that process works. And it could look very different. I could get to the very end here, and let's just say I didn't have this Bone Talisman. Don't have a Bone Talisman with Perseverance, but I'm looking over here, and maybe I have a Bone Talisman with Sharp Blade. Then I could put that on and look back through my gear and see if I have other items that can match that set and run that. Now, actually, for my Dwalin with purple gear at this level, I think that Sharp Blade is the best option because that 20 attack I get is better than Perseverance, in my opinion, with my attack where it's at. So if you're running purple, blue gear, really unless you start getting like the best in slot stuff in the game, I think Sharp Blade's a great option. So this is what will happen when you're doing your account. You'll go through it like this. A lot of times I get stuck on the accessory personally. So if I'm looking for that right effect, it takes a while to find it. So maybe start with wherever you think your bottleneck's going to be. So start with accessories. So you could look through your gear and go, okay, I know I've got Fortitude on a Palantir, and I've got Agility on a Drums of Bearadur. So if that was how I was doing it, I might pick either one of these and put them on. And then I'd look through here and say, okay, the actual sets that I can make are going to be Agility and Fortitude. So let's search by those. And I would go through here and say, yep, I've got a full helm to put on here. Let's see, we could also do Agility with that one. We got Agility there. So really, I'd probably be running Agility because that's a better piece right there. We're gonna go back here. We could also run a 2 and 2 sets. We could do something like this, where actually I don't have another Fortitude. We have a E-String Spear, but that is a full set. We have half the Fortitudes with 5% here and 5 Agility. Now, is that the best build? Is that the way I would aim to do it with what I have? No, I would probably just run better gold items and not worry about the set, but just kind of trying to show a little bit more detailed what this process looks like. So let me know if that makes sense. Hopefully, if you guys have questions, feel free to ask them. But again, the goal is to just make this a little bit more clear. So if you're brand new, you're not just being, shown a graphic and you're like, I don't know what to do with that. This spreadsheet, again, will be linked down below. You can click the slot thing, the filter, and I'm blocking it. But right here are the options: armor, hand, head, and accessory. That's how you enable all those to be there. I like to do one at a time, but technically you could do all of them and just look through all the gear and see what your options are. So use this, focus on stats first, good pieces of gear first. Sets, in my opinion, are secondary and kind of the cherry on top. But if you can kind of get some decent gear with the set, it's very nice. So this is what I would do for both of these commanders. I'd go through and put the best commander attack gear with those sets we talked about on both Éowyn and Dwalin. Now, very quickly for their relics, Dwalin's relic is going to get a fail. I had this a long time ago, and they actually added the hammers, and you get rid of them. It's a whole thing. This used to work differently. It was better. I don't think it's great. 20% chance of dealing an extra up to 100% damage. Now, some relics in the game have this, but it's like guaranteed. Every normal attack does this. So if Dwalin's was like 50% or something, or 75 because he's a tier 1, I think that would be fine. But 20% is just, this is going to hit 2 times in the battle on average. So it gets a fail for me. I don't think it's a good relic. For Éowyn's, it's also going to get a fail. I actually think it's better than Dwalin's. Again, the stat here is in the first 4 rounds, reduces range damage received by this formation's melee units by 30%. Now, 30% reduction is not a bad thing, but it's only for 4 rounds. It's only for ranged units or range damage on melee units. So I feel like it's kind of specific enough that it's not going to happen and be worth huge investment. So this is also going to get a fail. Now, as far as troops go for both Éowyn and Dwalin, we are going to suggest the Guardians. I think it is the best here, like a really squeaky truck going on by me. The absolute joys of living downtown. But it's going to be Guardians suggested. They are cost effective. They're bulky. I don't need to say a whole lot on it. If you have a lot of resources and want to look at some other options, you can. Something like Eagles or Fell Beast work very, very well, but they are more expensive. They have more restrictions in terms of where they can go and their siege abilities. So I just think the Guardians are a really easy option. You should run them on every commander in this army. All right, now last but not least, who to actually put with these guys. I don't show this as much. Hopefully you guys find it helpful as well. But we have Dwalin and Éowyn plugged in here. Both the builds we talked about are full damage builds, although we do have the option to run Éowyn, like we talked about, as a hybrid build with some support and damage. So depending on what you have available, this could look different. But the way I'm counting this is Dwalin is 1 damage dealer, 1 complete damage dealer, and Éowyn is 1. So we have 2 points, whatever you want to call it, for damage or damage dealers. So ideally, we want to do 2 support points or 2 full supports, 1 to 1.5. So if we found someone who is doing hybrid plus a full support, that would work as well. So I'm going to go through and show a few options for what will work for support or hybrid commanders to go with these guys. Now, first of all, one of the better options, Gandalf the Grey. He can be run full support. It can do some hybrid stuff, but he's a very good kind of no-brainer option. He's a tier 2, so might not have him right away, but Gandalf's a great support. Boromir's another great option. He has Horn of Gondor and Wardens for a full support build. He can also run a hybrid build as well with the Warden of the High Tower or White Tower. So High Warden of the White Tower. Mixed all the words up a little bit there, but again, we could run him as full support. So the build could look something like this with 2 full supports and 2 full damage. We could also look at someone like Frodo and Sam and running them as a full support. They are the best tanks in the game, especially if you have the right units like Great Beast, if you're non-role play, or any kind of taunting troop like a Swan Knight. They are fantastic with the Master of Aghanim ability and Ring Bearer, so they're another fantastic support. Falcon is another great support as well. The Arid Luin or Thrain's Guard here, if you're running Guardians, which I'm suggesting, it's just going to reduce the damage that those dwarves get. I think we did a whole guide on just Gandalf the Grey and Falcon not that long ago. So you want to know how to build these guys who I have in here at least right now, which is Gandalf the Grey and Falcon. There's a whole video on that, but this would be another example of 2 supports and 2 damage. Tyrgon's another good tier 1 commander. He can be used as a hybrid, so you'd run Warden, which is your support ability, and one of his damage skills. I think Devotion is the better one here, so I'd run Devotion with Warden, so he'd have half a point of support and half a point of damage in this example. And maybe one more example, Merry and Pippin are another great support. You can run War Chant with Palantir Scryer for a full support build for them. So again, lots of different combinations. If I'm running this, if I'm running Tyrgon with this hybrid build, this would be 1 point of support and then half a point of support with Tyrgon. So this is 1.5 to 2.5 damage. So you could run Éowyn with her hybrid build as well. So it's more 2 and 2, but 1.5 or 2, that's totally fine. But again, just wanted to show some options. I showed more good options. There's not as many good supports on the evil side. So if you are non-role player evil, again, Agzok's a fantastic tier 1 damage dealer. We did a video on him. Really, evil side is kind of lacking, as we talked about. So we might do more on the evil side if you guys are wanting to see that. But just wanted to kind of showcase how I would put these lineups together. Again, I don't have Guardians on this account at the moment, but just picture that these are all Guardians, not Fell Beast. Put all the Guardians on. Call it a day. This is exactly how I'd run this lineup. And honestly, with properly built gear over time, get respect where they should be, this lineup is going to do fine. Now, are you going to beat the meta formation of Dane, Beorn, Gandalf White, and Sauron with whale gear? No, probably not. But this is actually a proper built army that's going to do well, especially if you're in a new first, second season and everyone's just kind of doing chaotic things. This is going to do well. It kind of has synergy. It works together. So that is how I would build that. But again, this has been kind of long, so I'm going to wrap it up. The goal, like I said, is just to go a little bit more in depth, talking about the gear, talking about how I'd build the army. So if you've been watching the videos and you're a little bit confused, trying to make it more clear and show the process. So hopefully you guys enjoyed that. What commanders do you want to see in the future? Because I'm always looking for video suggestions. So let me know down below if you have more commanders you'd like to see. But that will do it for this video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one.